I'm sure it's not foreign to manage a guy like Charles Walker coming back from a ligament or a wrist injury like that with change in the cast. Are you able to manage that about like you need to in order to get him ready to play?
Well, he's been out there the first 3 days and has, performed well. He's got, a semi-soft cast. He has somewhat of an open hand, so that'll, whittle down, and hopefully by game time he'll play without any support. But just for protective reasons, but he's played really well, in the 3 days. So we haven't really kept him out of anything.
You and Matt Romar kind of taking control of the defensive line as leaders?
Well, they're two outstanding players that we'll lean on heavily. Both guys I think have really matured and come into their own in our program and our system, and really know what their roles are. So been really pleased with their maturity and their development as players, and they're both really outstanding players. So really excited for their to see what they do this year, and taking the next step leading our team is exciting too. And it's a new dynamic. Like you said, a lot of people have talked a lot about losing Stryker, Sanchez, Dominic Alexander, who else? Devontae, Tapp. There's some really good players, but in these programs you just kind of next man up mentality, and that's it gives new opportunities, new players, and we have good players, and I'm excited to watch those guys perform as well.
Can you talk about where you are with the outside linebackers and how big of a challenge it is going into a really tough early schedule against the two heavyweights, but even right off the bat with Houston?
Well, those teams, we lack experience. I think with our youth of our football team, I think that's the biggest disadvantage. I think we have outstanding players. I think just their inexperience, but just in 3 days, it's been I've been pleasantly surprised at their development and their ability to conceptually kind of dissect what we're trying to do with each particular defense. So it's been really pleased overall, trying to find whittle down who we're going to devote the priority repetitions to. Is they're all kind of fighting for their place, and that's good to have competition, and that's what we have right now is at that outside linebacker position. Is we got great competition across the board, and everyone's kind of fighting for their time right now. So we'll see how it plays out over the next 3 weeks before we get into game week.
You have to cut off the competition a little bit sooner than usual because you're playing two of the top 10 quarterbacks in the country the first month?
Well, I think we feel relatively good about, our starting 11 and what we can do with those 11. We played all spring with them, and then, having those players, here through the first 3 days, and then looking at our new players. So, what style, how we want to play, what fronts, what stunts work for this particular group are all things that, you kind of maneuver your way around, and you look at your best 11, as a defense coordinator, and then how are we going to semantically set them up? How are we going to structurally line up, with those 11 and what we can do with those 11. So, those are the, coaching, elements to the game. And then if somebody gets hurt and we got to play this style, how's this going to, so those are just things you look at. But again, we're going to have to play some young guys if somebody goes down, and they'll be ready to play. These are, very talented players, like I said earlier, and been very pleased with the development in a very short period of time.
Mike, it sounds like from what Bob was saying that Micaiah's move has been a good one. What have you seen out of him so far?
Well, I think he's got a chance to be an outstanding player. I think he's really developed the last 3 days and has done some nice things. So he has to continually develop and push himself to get better, to be a guy out there that can be put on an island and and hold his own.
He would be. Is he working what would be opposite of Jordan's spot?
Well, Dakota is the opposite starter of Jordan, and then Micaiah, PJ, and Banasaur. There's a variety of players that are working to to improve, where they're at on the depth chart.
A lot of the holes we talked about on defense are outside linebackers. Is it more comforting for you that those are your guys in your meeting room than everything else?
Well, they're outstanding players. Obo is just, again, he's another guy who's just waited on his opportunity. Again, he's an outstanding player, has played for us in certain situations over the last 2 years as even a true freshman. So, he's very fast, very explosive, a great rusher. There's very little he can't do on the football field. Now it's, our job as coaches to make him, understand concepts, where he needs to be, and for him to be comfortable. But I think he's, maturing like the other guys. Starting your third year, you really see players start to really grasp what they're doing and become, not just players. They become, productive players, and that's what you're starting to see with some of these guys that haven't been as recognized as an Eric Stryker, a Zach Sanchez, Charles Tapper. So it's just, guys getting their opportunities.
Coach, you kind of joked last year about how easy it was to coach the outside linebackers with all the young guys you were talking about. How much different is it?
Yeah, it's been a rough 3 days, but it's been fun. It's fun. For me, it's the newness, but when you work with really good players, to me that's exciting. To develop a great young player, I don't think there's anything that coaches love. Coaching really good players, and I feel like we have some guys that can be outstanding football players if they stay with it and really concentrate and focus on each day. Then they're going to become good players. So there's challenges because they're so young. But again, their talent level is extremely high. So, that part, there's a little bit of a trade-off there. But again, the 4 weeks we have leading up to, we got 4 more weeks till we play Houston. And, we've probably taken, what was I looking at, 75. We've taken a ton of, reps. And it's good to get, because we feel like our first group, per se, is solidified in a lot of positions. Now we have to get where we have the same confidence in the guys behind them, and that's going to take a little bit of time. But I think we've really, worked to get in a positive direction in just 3 days.
What kind of jump do you think Stephen Parker can make in his third year?
Well, I think he has to take that jump to, the next level. I think he's been a really, good player and solid player for us across the board, but he has to, hopefully become a dominant safety, and, I think he has the capabilities, and, we certainly expect him to, take another jump in that, in that direction. He has to be a playmaker for us. We ask him to do a lot of different, we ask Stephen to do a lot of low, high, middle, he does. You see him do a lot of different things because he's, that's, I think, his greatest strength is he's very diverse, in what he can do. He has speed, he has hips, he has range. So those are all, great qualities for a safety.
On the play at the end of the TCU game, do you categorize that as like a great instinct play, or do you categorize it as a gamble that paid off for him?
Oh, it's probably a little bit of both, you can't let a guy run in and felt like we lost leverage on the football, and he was kind of put in a tough situation. So it would have been close if we would have got the guy anyhow. So he just took it, that was an instinct of his. So, the instinct was right that time, and we're, very fortunate.
Coach, DJ Ward, kind of talk about, he's been on campus for a few years now. Talk about his progression kind of on the line there and just what you see his role coming into 2016 might be.
Well, DJ, again, he's, he fought some health issues his first 2 years, really, some tough ones too. So DJ started, a little bit behind everybody else just because of the physical elements. He's always been a talented player. So again, he's another guy that's kind of really coming into his own, and he's a guy that we're going to lean on and feel like we can really trust. DJ is, really worked hard, great kid, great personality, and he's really has persevered through some tough setbacks and has really stayed the course. I think he's finally gained the strength and weight that he needs to play in there and play effectively.
Does Caleb Kelly remind you of anybody you've coached before?
Well, he's what you want. He's a prototypical outside linebacker. you know, he has a lot of, you know, strong characteristics as a football player and his learning, and so it's early to tell. You know, I don't want to label him any particular way right now. It's too early in the process. That's hard to do with young players this early. They all have great potential. So, you know, we'll see where it goes, but been pleased with all our freshmen. It's what we thought what we thought we were getting.
Where does outside linebacker compare to other positions in terms of some positions are easier for guys to come in and catch on and play than others? Where does outside linebacker rank?
Well, we ask our guys to do a lot. That's in college is a little different game than the NFL just because of the systems we see. So, you know, how we set them and, you know, by formations and what we ask them to do. How we pressure the run game or the quarterback is a little bit different. So, but they have to do a lot of different things. They have to be able to cover skill, you know, out in space. They have to be able to rush the quarterback. They have to be able to play like a defensive end in the run game. So they do a lot of different things that ordinarily the coverage stuff is probably the hardest part to really, you know, understand the concepts in coverage.
Final question for Mike.
Mike, how have you seen Bob, whether it's more interactive on social media or throwing pitches to recruits or, you know, having to make changes on his staff, how have you seen him evolve as a head coach over the last few years? On and off the field.
I don't know. He seems much happier. I don't know if that's because of me or you leaving. I don't know. Or me coaching better. That was a joke. I don't know. You know, Bob is again. I think he's just happy of the direction of our players. I think direction of our, you know, what we're doing, our staff. You know, all those things. I said that, I think, in an interview with somebody. Just, you know, feels good about, you know, our players, their attitude, the work ethic of our team. You know, we've had, you know, very few distractions. So, you know, and you have a guy like Baker, I think that, you know, makes you always feel, you know, makes you feel good. Every time, you know, I go to practice, I kind of shake my head at what I see. You know, it's kind of mind-boggling, but you know, all those things. So I think we're in a better position. I think we're getting stronger as we go forward, and that's, you know, always a positive position. At least we hope we are.